We all know that videos are powerful for conversions, for getting your message out there online, for making an immediate connection with people. And today we're going to uncover just how powerful videos can be for your business and more.
Welcome to Thriving Launch with Luis Congdon and Kamala Chambers, the show for heart-centered entrepreneurs who want it all.
5 days a week, we bring you different segments to inspire you to live a life of freedom. We interview the leading experts in the field of business, health, and love. Be sure to check out Training Tuesdays, where we give you a clear action plan to grow your own business.
Do you have a product or service that you would like to sell online? Or maybe you've been thinking about it, but you're reserved to do it because you need a website, you need complicated systems, and you need to spend money? Well, I've created a completely free course that teaches you how to use Facebook in a purely organic way. This means no ads and no money are needed. You can use Facebook completely free. So head on over to thrivinglaunch.com. Opt into my Profit from Social Media course. I'm going to teach you the free methods to using Facebook to make money today. His videos are fun and entertaining, and not only that, they've captured the attention of celebrities like Ashton Kutcher, who tweeted out to over 6 million people how amazing Miguel Hernandez is and how incredible his videos are. They've caught the attention of big companies like Microsoft, who have hired him to help him with their videos. Miguel Hernandez has something really special, and not only that, he's used videos to find his wife. He's used videos to connect with very high level people and to grow his business. So today we're going to talk about all that and more.
Welcome to the show, Miguel. It's so great to have you here. Are you ready to launch?
I'm totally ready. Let's do it.
All right, Miguel. So I found you years ago on the internet when I was trying to understand videos and what makes awesome videos. And I went through piles and piles of stuff, and I found your stuff. And I saw that, you had done stuff with Microsoft. Ashton Kutcher gave you a testimonial. You had done some work for him. And I'm curious, what makes your videos different than just any plain regular video on YouTube?
Well, I started Grumo Media in 2010, and I found success pretty early. So the reality is that at the beginning, I didn't know really what I was doing. I was just being myself. I was having fun. I loved to write and do animation for a long time. And this was the first time I actually kind of started monetizing it. And then it seems people like the way I did things. So I had to kind of deconstruct what made me originally successful, because then I started hiring people. And I had to teach other people how to create videos that were original and different, like you say. So I think one of the main differentiators is that I decided to make sure that our videos, we didn't take ourselves too seriously, but we still made sure that we got to the point. Because at the end of the day, these videos are there to promote or sell a product. And because we're so used to seeing these kind of videos, being a little bit different is an advantage for people to listen to it, right? So one of the things I really make sure that my writers put in every video was that at least once in every video, people got to smile once. And I think that once you can create that emotional connection with your viewer, you have a better chance of being more memorable. And we do this consciously in all our videos. It seems that people like that.
One of the cool things, Thriving Launchers, that I'm just hearing from Miguel, and I think it's so cool. It's something that Kamala and I talk about. It's something that, when I share my story, it's something that for me is very important, is to do what you're inspired by, to do what you love. And even if you don't have all the answers, or if you don't know it's going to work out, to start with passion, to start with that excitement. For me, that's how I started podcasting. I really didn't know what it was going to turn into. And now we've got these podcasting courses, we've got these Facebook courses, and I had no idea what I was really getting into. I just knew that I was starting with something that excites me.
I absolutely think that's such a huge piece in video too, don't you, Miguel? Where if someone's excited and passionate about what they're talking about, if they're relaxed and they're natural, that translates. If someone's nervous, that translates to the camera as well. And that's the power of video. It's such an incredible way to make a connection with someone online when you're not even in front of them. Like I've said this before on our interview with Brandon Lucero, I have people coming up to me at events and talking to me like they know me because they've seen my videos. And I'm not even out there on the level that you're out there with your videos. So I'd love to hear a little bit more from you about what do you think is an important way to come across on camera? Do you have any camera tips on just being natural?
And I'm all ears because, Kamala and I have gotten into videos more and more, and she's a natural on camera. And, Miguel, Thriving Launchers, the camera is not an easy place for me. It feels difficult. I feel unnatural. I feel like I'm performing. And then I turn stiff and I don't get that kind of emotional connection that you two are talking about.
I think you do pretty good, but let's hear from Miguel.
Well, it's funny because I've been asked that several times. And to me, it's kind of the opposite. I think in the real world, when I'm in front of people, I'm a lot more shy than when I'm recording myself. And for some reason, just looking at the camera, which in most cases, it's just like this little webcam that I have, or even in my MacBook Pro, my computer, there's the little embedded webcam. It's just a little hole. So I'm not very threatened by looking at that little hole. And all I think is that I'm talking to my best friend. And since I started doing that, and I just pictured how I would talk to my best friend, and I completely forget that I'm being recorded. And I know this is not easy for a lot of people. It wouldn't be so easy for me if I was maybe on a setting, on a studio where there was an audience. But when I record my videos, many times it's when I'm home by myself. So there's nothing threatening about me looking at my computer. And I guess then it's my ability to imagine that I'm talking to a real person. Because I've heard some of my students find it cold or difficult to be themselves when they're not talking to a real person. So it's kind of like an exercise in using your imagination. Other things that you can do, and I've heard can work, is don't take yourself too seriously. As long as you just be yourself, people are going to appreciate that. So don't try to pretend you're somebody else now just because people are looking at you. And people are very concerned about others think. But I think if you come from a place of honesty, then people appreciate that. People appreciate when people are humble and candid about how they are. And also, there's another thing that helps a lot is practice. If you see my first videos where I was in front of a camera back in 2010, it's funny because I look like I'm pretty shy. And that was the first course I did. The first course I did was 10 hours long. I would say the first 2 hours of the course, I feel I'm pretty shy compared to the end of the course. So practice definitely helps. And then I've seen people do this on set, because I used to work also on music video production and commercial production. And sometimes to loosen up some of the actors, they would just have a little glass of wine or a shot of tequila. And, and believe it or not, just that relaxes you a little bit, and you're okay just to have fun in front of the camera. So there you go.
I read an article about a woman who's over 100 years old, and they asked her what one of her keys to success and living so long was. And she said, for the past 40 years, I've been drinking a shot of tequila or a shot of whiskey right before I go to sleep. So I guess it works for actors and for people who want to live a long time.
Well, that's one person. Let's not promote alcoholism on the show.
So I wanted to pull out a cool nugget here, though. And it's something that has done wonders for me as far as the camera. I'm still working. I acknowledge that I'm still learning. But one of the things that really helped me immensely was to spend a little time right before that camera turns on, close my eyes, and imagine I'm speaking with my dad. Or imagine I'm having a really fun, playful conversation with Kamala or my mom or one of my best friends, so that when that camera comes on, there's an emotional connection between me and the camera. And so when it's capturing me and someone else is watching it, they feel like I'm talking to them in a really kind of relaxed, natural state. And it's because I'm actually imagining that I'm having a conversation with my best friend or somebody that I love. And so my whole nervous system and my body relaxes. And I think that translates to the camera.
Yeah, I think that's a really good strategy. Just think of that you're talking to somebody you care about, and like your friend or a family member. it's definitely a good strategy. Sometimes what I've seen other people do is actually put a picture of a friend right beside the camera, or cut a hole in the actual picture and then make sure that the camera looks through that little hole. So then basically what you're seeing is the face of somebody. And that even helps further to create that illusion that you're talking to a real person.
Wow, that's really powerful. I've never done that myself. And one thing that I find, and I'm sure some of you thriving launchers have found this, like we have a sound studio or a professional film studio with the lights and everything. Sometimes we get in front of those lights and all of a sudden everything leaves the mind, you know? It's like it's like completely blank. Like, what, I know this subject in and out, and then I get in front of the camera and it leaves. What tips do you have for really staying focused when you're talking about a subject in front of the camera?
Well, I guess obviously knowing about the topic, it's very important. Another thing I do, because I like I said, I don't have a lot of experience being on a studio setting, and that probably would make myself a little bit more nervous. But one of the things that I do is rehearse a little bit before I do it. It's like movies, you know. Usually the first take is not going to be the best one. It could be, but typically you need to warm up to do it right. So in all my lectures, the actual video that people end up seeing is not typically the first take. So like I say, practice, and many times just repeat. Now, if you're doing this in live, it's trickier. so then I don't know what could you do. But I guess being very prepared and relaxed, and maybe do a little bit of meditation before you go on to the live studio, it could help. But if not, if it's not live, definitely it's okay to do several takes until you get it right.
So, I want to ask you something else. It's not completely about video, but I'm curious. I guess it is about video. Why did Ashton Kutcher reach out to you? Or what was that work that you guys did together? I know that he gave you a testimonial, but I never really got the full scoop on that story.
Okay, so the story is a combination of just pure luck and also a little bit of strategy. So the first video I did was for a company that still exists. It's called hipmonk.com. And it's a flight search engine. It allows you to find flights in a very visual, cool way, right? And at that time, they didn't have a video. So I created a free video for them, and I sent it to them, hoping that because the founders were very known in Silicon Valley, that if they liked the video, they would at least acknowledge it through their social media, and that would give me some exposure. So I was strategically trying to get noticed in the industry, in a new industry. And it worked like a charm. I'd send the video, and literally within 24 hours, the marketing principal, his name was, and he's still alive, he's Alexis Ohanian, who is the co-founder of Reddit, saw it, loved it, interviewed me on his blog, and published it on his social media. So basically I went from being an unknown in the industry to having 40 clients from Silicon Valley asking for videos. So I was like, wow, this is amazing. Right? And then it just happened that I didn't know this at the time, but Ashton Kutcher has been involved in the tech community for several years, and he's an active investor in many of these startups. So after I dig down, what happened is that I did 2 more videos, and my third video was for a company called PathMapper. And it turns out that the founder of PathMapper knew Ashton Kutcher, and I didn't know this. So when we finished the video, I guess he said, hey, by the way, look at the video that Miguel has done for us. What do you think about it? And he loved the video. He's like, this is amazing. I really like it. So then he tweeted it. At that time, he had 6 million followers. He tweeted saying, this is probably my favorite instructional video I ever seen. And then I linked to the actual video. And I found out literally 24 hours after we published the video, my client said, by the way, you should check out Ashton Kutcher's account. And I'm like, no way. And he's like, yes, way. And then I tried to figure out, did you know this guy? He's like, yeah, I knew Ashton Kutcher. And then Alexis Ohanian also knew Ashton Kutcher. So then I said, well, this is my chance. I told him, could you introduce me to him? And maybe there's something I could do for him. And they introduced me to him, and then he replied right away. And I said, if there's anything I can do for any of your causes, an animated video or something like that, just let me know. And he immediately replied and he said, yes, I'm working on this campaign and we would love to have an animation component. Let's talk about it. And so then eventually he ended up hiring me to do a video for his nonprofit. And that's how it happened.
That's so incredible.
It just shows how important generosity is in your business. How if you have a skill, find ways to utilize that skill for people who could use it, for people who are higher up than you or people that are more in the spotlight than you. I think that's a huge way that Luis has grown certain aspects of our business by being generous and reaching out to people and saying, I see that you need more exposure, and I see how I can help you get your podcast out there or get your message out there in a bigger way. And it's done wonders, and I just really want to back up everything you're saying.
It's such a cool story, and it really makes me want to segue into something that I think that, for me is even more amazing, is how you used video to find your wife. Can you tell us a little bit about that? I would be remiss, we're focused on how to be in front of the camera, how videos ultimately create better conversion rates on websites, how videos can help you meet celebrities, and all that stuff is really cool. And then not only that, videos can help you find your wife.
What? All right. So I'll be happy to answer. So this is what happened. In 28, I was single after a long relationship. And then I thought, okay, well, what can I do? And my sister just had met her husband online, and she said, why don't you try online dating? And I'm like, let's try to do it. But in a true Grumo fashion, I said, if I'm going to do this, it's going to be differently. I'm going to use a strategic approach to online dating. So I came up with this experiment, which was dating as many women as possible within 60 days. And the number I came up with was 20. So I gave myself basically 60 days to meet 20 women, and that's exactly what I did. It was, I have an entire system on how I did that, but basically
he has a blog article, and we will link it over on thrivinglaunch.com on exactly how he did it, because I read that article, and then I followed some of your steps. So you had this system. Keep going.
Yeah. So I had this system, which basically was reaching out to as many women as possible, and then eventually you create kind of like a sales funnel, and at the end, the top candidates are the last one. So I called it the funnel of love, and it worked exactly to the dot how I was expecting. But the reason why I use video is because when I looked at other people's profiles, I thought, what could it make me stand out from everybody else? And at that time, this dating site called Lava Life, and I think it's only in Canada, you were allowed to upload up to 3 videos, no longer than 30 seconds each. And I thought, man, this is my opportunity, because when I looked at other people's videos, they were really crappy. We were like sometimes disgusting or like not original at all. And I thought, at that time I was working at a television studio. This is before Grumo Media, right? So I didn't have developed my animation skills, but I had access to really expensive television equipment, like expensive cameras. So I told my friends, why don't we come up with 3 ideas to shoot like a 30-second mini commercial of me, and then let's upload it to the site. And when I contact all these women, some of them will see it, and they'll be like, "Who the hell is this guy?" And this is exactly what happened. Many of them saw it, and it's like I've never seen any other guy doing something similar. It seems that, and I try to be funny and genuine myself, so they get a real idea of what I was on the real world. And a lot of them reacted positively, and including my now wife. She saw that and says, "Who is this silly guy? I gotta meet this guy." And so it worked. Video really worked, I guess, to differentiate myself among all the other guys.
Wow, this is quite a spectrum of ways to use video to grow your business, to build a happy marriage. This is incredible.
To have a funnel of love.
The funnel of love. We'll make sure to link that. And I think something that is the common theme here that we've been talking about is how to be genuine, how to come across on camera in a way that's expressing who you are. doing what you love and sharing that.
Yeah.
Are there any other tips on that specifically that you want to share?
There's one book that inspired me to be strategic about how I create content. So I think it would be good to recommend it here. It's called Made to Stick. And it inspired me to create content that was memorable and that had an emotional connection with people. And obviously one of the best ways of creating an emotional connection is being genuine and open and candid and not worry too much about what other people think. So that's a good book to read because it really focuses on why some ideas become successful and why some other ideas become viral and get shared a lot, right? So it kind of uncovers the reasons why.
I know that's a fantastic book, and I'm glad that you mentioned an awesome resource for people to go and check out. We've covered a wide spectrum today of how to use videos, and one of the things that really, Miguel, I've gotten out of this time with you is for me to be a little bit more zany on camera, because just like you, it's funny, you and I are almost like the inverse. We're balancing the universe out here or something, because
Yin and yang.
I'm very playful with Kamala, and I'm very playful with people that I'm very close to.
Very, very playful.
And then on camera, I'm just like, hello, tonight on CNN News. I become very much like a reporter and stiff.
Yeah.
I think you do really great. We could put some videos up and we'll have the audience judge. Thriving
All right.
Launchers, you can let us know what you think, and we'll make sure to link your videos too, Miguel, because you've talked about some great things and I want the visuals.
We'll
to
have
back
a link
them up.
to some of the videos on the website, as well as that article on how you can create a funnel of love with videos. I thought that
Exactly.
article was fantastic. Miguel, thank you so much for coming on Thriving Launch. It's been a real honor and pleasure to have you on the show today.
The pleasure is mine. Thanks for having me in your show.
You've been listening to the Thriving Launch podcast. For books and resources related to today's episode, make sure to head over to thrivinglaunch.com. We'll see you there.
On our next episode, we'll be talking with Dr. John and Julie Gottman. They're the most bona fide marriage experts alive today, with their work from the University of Washington and their research with over 3,000 married couples. Their research and their work on marital success is some of the best out there on the planet. I actually used their work for a period of nearly 3 years and worked with nearly 300 married couples. So be sure to tune into that on our next episode.